we got through D&D. We got through D&D, chat. Don't you worry. We got through D&D.
What's up, Mac?
Mr. Dawgface, I'm on stream. We have 12,000 people watching. You have a moment?
Yeah, I got a moment.
I wanted to call you because I've seen your videos. I could tell you were extremely perturbed. You accused me of allowing Wack 100 to misuse the platform to spread his propaganda against the recent, information that came out that a story that he is told frequently online about him chasing Future has now entered Big U's indictment. According to Wack, he says that came from a snitch on Big U's team saying it because the story isn't all the way accurate. And basically, he says because this is a overt act, it's not a new charge, that really, it's the feds. The feds might be just reaching. What do you think about the whole thing? I know you were calling, and I did see your call, but I know you and Wack can't have a civil conversation, so I wanted to keep you guys separate, at least to, just for the audience. What's your whole thoughts on the recent stuff with Big U?
So listen, can you hear me?
I hear you loud and clear.
Okay, so listen. First of all, I did accuse you of allowing Wack to come on your platform and to use your platform to try to cover up what the whole world knows is his hand in Big U's case. So let's just start with the 900-pound gorilla in the room. Mm-hmm. The only person who has ever told the stories about what was allegedly happened at LAX between Wack, Big U, Future, Sierra, and then you throw Stunner, and you throw Trick in the mix because he mentioned them. The only person to ever tell that story publicly was Wack. Now, if we just frame it with just Wack being the only person to tell the story, and then let's look at the fact that Wack told the story. He was the only one to tell the story. So how could there have been a snitch in Big U's camp when nobody was there? Big U, when he heard Wack telling this story a couple of years ago, Big U denied that it ever happened. Trick denied it ever happened. Future said that it didn't happen. We haven't talked to Sierra, and we haven't talked to Birdman about the whole thing. But the only person to ever bring this story up.
Well, he did say he's never mentioned Birdman. Even though I will say,
so he lied. So listen, hold on. So he lied. So we know he lied, and you know he lied, and your entire chat knows he lied because on his own clubhouse, the guy played the tape back for him. He ran the tape back, and he said Stunner. We know he said Stunner. So, hey, listen, Akademiks, you're a good person. You're one of the most powerful people in urban media. And my thing with you is, I don't think I have to even break down all of Wack's flaws. And I don't think that I have to go over what happened with that whole thing.
No, listen. I feel like I'm knowledgeable of. So I want to hear the conclusion, though. So here's what I personally think, right? And I'm being all the way real. What I believe is that, I think Wack has slightly a little bit of egg on his face. I maybe this came from someone, as he's saying, like, who's snitching or whatever, but I feel like a story that he told that he thought was innocuous and innocent, the feds consider that actually as extortion. And that's the big thing that, I think he probably realized now, like, oh shit, yes, you're asking someone for their money, or you're asking for money that was owed, but if you threaten, if you do violence, if you do it in a certain way, that is part of what people or the feds would call extortion. So that got added to the overt act. I was only shocked by, and that's why I'm asking your conclusion. I'm gonna let you speak in a second. I'm shocked it got added now, and I'm wondering, other than what Wack has said publicly, what other information do they have? Maybe Wack's just chatting. Maybe this never happened. And I think that would go into a conversation of, is the feds just listen to podcasts and throwing anything, like it's like throwing shit on the wall, hoping something sticks.
Okay, so listen, let me take a deep breath. That's a good question. So let's just back up for a second, and I'm gonna play this game with you tonight. First of all, so we talk about overt acts. Overt acts are things that the feds add to indictments that really speak to the character of the overall scheme of what the person is charged with. We're talking about a conspiracy here. So when you look at Wack telling that story, nobody else told the story publicly but him. So Wack's trying to attribute, or he's trying to blame a snitch in Big U's camp and saying they're responsible for doing it. But how would they know? How would they have that measure of details? Nobody would have that measure of details but him. And on top of that, how is that an overt act for Big U when Wack said that he was the one who spotted Future and Sierra? He was the one who approached Future. He was the one who basically chased Future down the jet bridge.
Okay.
He was the one who cornered. He was the one who cornered Future. And when Future called Stunner on the phone and threw the phone at him, Wack was the one who had the conversation with Stunner. And Stunner, and he said that when Stunner said, "Oh man, what you doing, man? I'm busy. I don't want you to be busy." Okay, well, I know you're being busy, but I don't want you to be busy. And Wack said, "Well, he owes Trick $50,000, and he can't be in my backyard and owe bro no money. He either gonna pay him money. He gonna pay the money." He said, quote unquote, he gonna get fucked up and pay the money, or he gonna pay the money. It's his choice. So that's a threat. That's extortion. Now, here's my point. He's doing all this shit. He never said that Big U did anything except get the luggage off the goddamn conveyor belt after they went through TSA. So how could this be added as an overt act to Big U and contributed to Big U when Wack is the one who's guilty of every goddamn thing?
Okay.
Big U didn't do shit.
All right, perfect. And let's stay there. Right? So we're staying with that same train of thought. So when I first read this, I thought the alarming thing to me was that they said that essentially Big U and a co-conspirator. Now, when you see that word in an indictment, it tells me that the police or the feds have in their mind, in their story, they believe that there is a co-criminal. So when I looked at that, I said, wow, this is kind of serious. It looks like they're expanding the things that they think Big U have done, and they're also accusing Big U of doing things with Wack. Now, here's the thing. That makes him possibly a suspect. I don't think they put you as a co-conspirator if you're not a suspect. Here's the thing about the online narrative, and that's where I want you to help me figure it out. Because a lot of times when you guys are, and I'm saying you guys like kind of like just tongue-in-cheek, because I know you have specific things that you talk about Wack with. There's other people who talk about him in a negative manner. But here's the thing. I say that you guys can't play both sides. There is an argument that people say that Wack is an informant. Now, if he's an informant, right? I'm not saying he can't be called a co-conspirator, but everything points to me like Wack is a suspect. Not just he's not an informant. He's a suspect.
Hold on. So listen, Big U is under a massive federal indictment.
Yes.
So if Wack is a suspect, if they're saying that he is a co-conspirator in any way, then he should be indicted with Big U. You can't be a suspect in saying that you helped in a conspiracy and not be indicted with the conspiracy unless you are working in conjunction with the authorities in some way. So I want to back up for 1 second and take a deep breath. You're saying that Wack is a possible suspect. Well, if he's a
that's
possible
what those
suspect,
words mean to me.
Okay, listen. If Wack is a possible suspect in a far-reaching conspiracy that covers a lot of territory, we know that Wack ran with Big U for years. Wack was Big U's basically second in command. Wack and Big U ran hand in hand long before Loose Cannon, long before anybody else. When they were still cool, they was doing what they were doing together. So if Wack is the suspect in at least one thing, and that one thing is what happened between Future, Sierra, Stunner, Trick, and all that other kind of shit that he said that happened to LAX. If he's a suspect in that, he's a suspect in a crime.
Yes.
And as he
hold on.
it,
But not because he's a suspect in the crime mean they have enough at this point to charge him. There was hold on.
He admitted it.
Hold on though. Wait, hold on. Let's talk through this and let's argue logic here. So
okay.
I want to point out a particular. You might not know this case, but there was a case, and my chat knows it. There was two men who were accused of killing somebody named Stefan Mack. By the way, that's the guy who supposedly killed Dirk's brother, right?
Yep,
they kept referring in the indictment against the two shooters that they were going to get paid by a co-conspirator. The co-conspirator was Lil Durk. Lil Durk never officially got charged in that case. Why? They didn't have enough info or information or whatever to get the indictment on Durk, but they alluded to him in that indictment as a co-conspirator because in their story, and these guys did a murder for hire. So what I'm saying is that what I could definitely say, read in the paperwork and chat. I'm gonna bring the paperwork back up here again, and you guys could, we could flush it out. It appears that they're saying they believe that Wack was a co-conspirator in this conspiracy of extortion, but because he's not charged, I can't just automatically go to he's a snitch. If anything, look at Dirk. Even if you're 6'9", they'll charge you if they feel they have enough to make you guilty of a crime to actually make you flip. They wouldn't leave you out there uncharged where you could be just doing whatever. So that's where I kind of like jump off the train where I'm like, I don't believe Wack is an informant.
Let me put you back on the goddamn train. Listen, everything you just said about the whole Stefan Mack and Lil Durk thing, all that's correct. But let me introduce something else. They would leave that motherfucker out there and let him work if he's working. Wack 100 is working in a concerted effort to take down everybody in the CRIP organization, starting with Big U. That's number one. Number two, when you look at everything that he has done...
Hold on. I'm asking one question towards what you said. How does him telling a story that, yes, involves Big U, but he clears Big U's name because he said he did everything, how does that help take down Big U? I think Wack running his mouth and saying that put him in hot water, not necessarily shows that, because he never said Big U told me to chase after him. That would be different. So, he said I was there with Big U, and any lawyer's gonna argue, okay, if I was there with a guy who then picks up a gun and chases someone and kills him, how am I in the conspiracy of murder?
Good question. Let me answer your question.
Okay.
So, the incident that transpired in that airport, we know about it because Wack talked about it. Big U didn't talk about it. And when Big U became aware that Wack was telling this story, Big U came out and said that it was not true.
Yes.
So my question to you, let's just deal with logic here.
Mm-hmm.
Why is this an overt act that has been added to Big U's supplemental or superseding indictment when they have no evidence whatsoever that he did anything other than sit back and watch Wack do it? So if we know this because Wack self-admitted that he did it. So if he self-admitted that he did it, if he self-admitted, he admitted that he initiated it, he shot at Future, he initiated the contact with Future, he chased Future, and then he forced Future into a situation where he cornered him on a jet bridge, where he extorted him under the threat of violence. So you tell me, how can a person do all that shit, and then the feds put that on Big U, and don't list Wack 100 as a material witness or as a co-conspirator because he's the one who did every goddamn thing.
I'm glad you said that. So now this is where I think there's a middle ground. What I would agree is that while proving a RICO or any type of conspiracy, and I have to just, I'm not saying it for your education, I'm saying it for the education of the audience who's watching and listen to us. So an overt act, so in a conspiracy, no matter if it's statewide or if it's federal, they're going to have a predicate offense, and then they're going to have overt acts. Now, the predicate offense is you shot someone. Those are actual crimes that could be charged by themselves. Now, the overt act is to establish a pattern. It's to show the other acts that basically prove that it wasn't only that he shot someone, he linked up with other people. He told this guy, yo, go get this laser for my gun that I could make sure I don't miss. Yo,
Right.
could you book him for the club? Like, booking him for the club to make sure he gets there is an overt act. That's not a
So watch
you
this.
can't get charged by so I guess I would say I say all that to say, for this overt act to be proven, Wack, if he's the only one who's ever said the story, now Wack has basically told us he feels like one of Big U's homies has told the story, but whatever.
So he's not the only one to tell the story then. So let me
Go ahead.
pardon me, let me interrupt you for a second.
Go ahead.
So listen, you just described what an overt act was in relationship to overall conspiracy. So listen, all the stories that Wack 100 has told about Big U, they really speak to Big U's character, because he's telling about what happened with Nipsey Hussle when Nipsey got killed. He trotted Loose Cannon up on Adam 22's platform, and he prodded and he pushed Loose Cannon to say a story about Big U calling him and telling him that Nipsey was dead before Nipsey was dead. And then he interviewed another person. This is all Big U. He interviewed another person who identified himself as a Crip, saying that Big U paid him to steal a U-Haul truck filled with $40,000 of Christmas toys from in front of Big U's house. The guy said that he was supposed to get paid once they got the money from the GoFundMe. He talked about that. So all of these things that Wack has described about Big U.
So again, I'm asking you, like, in any debate, you try to state what your opinion is. Me, I say, if anything, Wack is a suspect. Wack is not a cooperant. And if he was a cooperant, I think he would be listed or described differently. Now, will they try to get him to testify? Of course, right? But the idea, and this is a public narrative, that Wack is a cooperative and he's a snitch, I can't buy into it when I'm watching them describe that they basically could lock him up, potentially, if they have enough on him too. So back to your story, right? And you mentioned that he did these interviews with these guys. Wack plays dirty. And I guess you being from the street, your opinion.
No.
Hold on, let me just finish. Your opinion, I'll weigh more than mine in this. This is how, and I've heard Wack say this many times. If he doesn't like you, okay, there is no street nigga code that he protects you from getting in trouble with the law if someone else that doesn't like you is on a podcast with him and is willing to snitch on you. So that's what he's always said with the Loose Cannon situation. He's like, I don't fuck with this nigga anyway. And Loose Cannon's his own man. If he's willing to do this, notice Wack didn't say, hey, I was with Big U in X, Y, and Z, and Big U did anything. The only story is this situation with Future, and he said Big U did nothing. So
no. Oh, no. I beg to differ. That's not the only story. Listen, when Wack 100, when he sat next to Loose Cannon, and Loose Cannon described that he had received a phone call from Big U talking about Nipsey being dead before he was dead. Mm-hmm. That is, Wack put him in a position. He can't hide behind, well, somebody else told the story, not me. That's the Crips did that. Ain't no rules on Big U's indictment. He helped put people who he knew had fell out with Big U. He used those dumbass niggas. And he used their anger at Big U. He used that for his benefit to get at Big U, who he didn't like. That's clear as day. That's number one. Number two, you talked about what an overt act was. Everything that Wack 100 has said about Big U over the last 3 or 4 years, it has all led to establishing the overt act. It all has led to thinking about the character. Everything he did, he was shooting at Big U's character. Big U's a thief. Big U's a murderer. Big U set this play up. Big U set that play up. Wack has been using podcasts. He has been using platforms like yours, like No Jumper, and like everybody else.
But are you saying these, like, again, my caveat was that, has he probably allowed or platformed people who have accused Big U of actually committing crimes or said, oh, I was there committing a crime in Big U? Yes. Hey. But I kind of do understand his
so
nuance.
If you're saying yes, Akademiks, if you're saying that, so listen, you're Akademiks, you're the most powerful person in urban media. No jumper is no small fish. And so when you talk about who you are and what access he has to you and what it means when he tells a story, you are a bullhorn for Wack 100, brother.
All right, hold on. Let me
You're
ask you a
under.
question because I seen you just had on Moses Malone Jr. in your podcast, and I'm
Yes.
not gonna lie, very entertaining. I suggest everyone watch it, and we're gonna
Thank you.
play some
Thank you.
clips.
Thank you. Thank you.
We're
Thank
gonna
you. Thank
we're gonna
you.
play some clips from it today.
Right.
So there are some people that will say, well, just like how Wack 100 allowed Loose Cannon to say certain things, you allowed him to say that James Harden is a criminal. Like, I'm not gonna lie. After that interview, I said James Harden, needs to go to jail. Like, James Harden is out here like Aaron Hernandez. That's what Wack has done. Like, Wack has just allowed people like Loose Cannon and others to basically tie the rope around another man's neck and hang them motherfuckers. I'm not gonna say it's not diabolical, but
it is.
I don't know if you could directly blame Wack for like cooperating or snitching when he's allowing someone else who's willing to do it to do it.
Let me tell you the difference between me interviewing a person who's telling his story, right? So listen, here's the difference. Wack 100, he is orchestrating these things. And now we are sitting back debating whether what he said is true or not true. So why are we debating? He's saying that he has full knowledge of it. He was there, and he has expressed his intent of taking Wack 100 down. I mean, taking Big U down, and he has said out his mouth that he's going to use the Crips against the Crips. And he's pointed out that the things that have taken place with Big U, those things were all done by Crips. But what he has left out is that he himself have put these people in positions, and he's ushered them into positions for their voices to be louder. That's number one. Number two, the stuff that he's talking about, he was rough with Big U back in the day. So he had precise knowledge of what was taking place, like the whole airport thing. Who knew that except him? So when he's trying to attribute that somebody close to Big U, one of his Confederates, one of his partners, told the story. But the only person that we know for the record who has told that story about what happened in that airport is him.
Okay, so again, I'm trying to get to that top line understanding. So do you believe that Wack is either feeding information to the feds? Do you believe that Wack is cooperating in this case? Or do you just think he's just a slimy dude that's, when he's in beef with someone, he finds a way to, publicly tell on you? Like maybe bring other people on.
A, B, C, and D, nigga. I believe A, B, C, and D, nigga. A, B, multiple choice, all of them, nigga. I'm a circle E. A, B, C, D, E. I'm choosing E. He's all of the above. Wack 100, he's operating minus any type of moral compass whatsoever. Wack 100 would do anything.
Oh, okay. Is that unethical or is that snitching then? So there might be unethical because put it like this, you know, not to evoke like a movie or whatever, but like some people how they look at cooperation or whatever. Oh, I could just use a real life situation. We found out in the YSL case that apparently the YSL dudes were okay with one of their members telling as long as they told on the people from the Inglewood mafia family or whatever. Like if you told on the ops, we're not gonna shun you, but if you told on one of us, so is it one of those where it's like he's just playing dirty? He's not necessarily, he's just
okay, y'all
Wack plays dirty.
night. Y'all be safe.
So it's a couple of different things, Ak. We know that when it comes to people trying to get at people they don't like, people employ whatever tactic they have to employ in order to do it, in order to reach their goal.
Yeah, I hear Wack say he'll delete people's YouTube channels. Like I don't think there's no bounds what Wack would not do if he dislikes you.
Okay, so you just answered your own question. So he's not above and beyond doing what I'm accusing him of doing then.
But do you think that's snitching? Anything, so do you think that's snitching?
Listen, whenever you're trying to help, Wack 100 is an orchestrator. He's sitting behind the scenes and he's taking people that he knows are dumb as a motherfucker and are just operating out of anger and frustration at Big U. And he's using their dislike and their anger at Big U. He's using it to his favor and in his favor to get at Big U. And that's what he's been doing for the last 3 or 4 years.
Hmm.
So Big U already, listen, Big U, in my opinion, in my estimation, he had already done enough to expose himself. But Wack 100 wanted to make sure that he pushed his ass all the way over the edge.
I mean, so you believe that this was done by Wack? You think that's well? That story was told before the indictments and stuff like that.
And so listen, they're grabbing everything they possibly can and throwing at Big U. Everything. They're grabbing shit out of the sewer. They're grabbing it out the gutter. They're grabbing it from people who don't like Big. They're grabbing it from the investigation. They're trying to make sure that it sticks because, like you just said, the overt act, it speaks to character. It speaks to MO, modus operandi. It speaks for the. It speaks for what he's most likely to do based on evidence that substantiates.
It mostly speaks to intent. So it shows that these things, it's one thing. You get into a parking lot argument over a parking spot. You pull out a gun and shoot someone. That's one thing. If you drove there, make sure you stalked the person. You told people to park in every other spot that you could have this argument. Now it's a conspiracy, and that goes to your intent. Like you intended for this crime to happen, right? So okay.
So watch this, Ash. Hold on, Ash. Listen. So let me simplify this for you. Wack 100. He does utilize every tactic in his disposal. He utilizes every tool in his arsenal to get at the people that he doesn't like. Some of these things may be above board, but some of these things are clearly not above board. Now, just because you don't like somebody, don't mean you can do all the shit he did to Big U. You can not like Big U, but when you're telling stories of criminal activity, and when you're putting people in a position and putting them in front of, putting them on platforms to tell a story that all go to intent, that all go to a character, you're doing it so somebody can hear it. And then he's taking these people on these platforms, and then he's backing out when it comes to the Fed saying, "Oh, we heard you did X, Y, and Z." You put these people in a position to be heard, and he's doing that in order to muddy the waters. So, like the whole thing with the LA with the airport thing, he told it. Now he's saying somebody else told the story. Who was the person who told it? Who could have known it? He told the story himself, first-hand accounting, because he was there. So what he does is, and I'm gonna talk real slow. What he does is that he purposely talks about these things in public. And then when these things become somebody's reality, he can then say, "Well, I ain't the one who did it. I may have said it once, but somebody else may have said it too." Like he lied about the Stunner thing. He's a liar. He lied and said, "I never said Stunner name." He's only saying that because Stunner put a bankroll in his pocket with that Cash Money West, and Stunner called him and told him, "Look, bitch, this shit getting serious. You get my name in this shit. The band's gonna come talk to me because you said I paid the ransom."
Hey, by the way, I will say, shout to Birdman, but I remember the last time they were trying to put Birdman name in some stuff. That was the Jimmy Roscoe thing with Young Thug, where they were trying to say right after he shot at Lil Wayne's tour bus back in I forgot what year it is, like 2013, 2014. They said after it happened, the first two people he called was Thug and Birdman, and if you look back at the court documents, the police were looking into Birdman, and I'm pretty sure Birdman was like, well, from what I've heard, they said that was it for Birdman in Atlanta, because Birdman was going down there doing the rich gang stuff. They said Birdman was like, "You know what? You niggas gonna have me up in y'all crimes. I'm out of here, man. I'm good."
Yeah, I have a question for you, Akademiks.
What up?
Where was the first time, and who was the first person who you heard told this story about what happened with Future involving Sierra, Trick, and Stunner?
Wack.
Where was the first time you?
Wack is the only person who ever said it, and he's always said, "Hey, if you keep saying I'm lying," not to me, but he would say it to Doughboy or whoever. He said, "If you keep saying I'm lying, I'm gonna get the person who was on the phone to say it did happen." He did say also though, you won't get Future to deny it, which Future has denied it. Denied it through posting Doughboy, I think.
And listen, that's the same thing he told you about T Grizzly. Do you remember when he said, I said that first piece of paperwork that he put out, that police report was a fake report? He came on the show with me and you, and he said, I put that fake paperwork out to draw T Grizzly out so T Grizzly can talk about it. So what he does is he does things trying to provoke people into coming out and making statements about it, and then he uses their even acknowledging anything about it at all as content, bro. Come on, stop playing with us, bro. He's turning real life criminal shit into content. You know he's doing that. Come on now.
Yeah, well, I do think he goes pretty, pretty hard to like outmaneuver street dudes. I'll say that.
Well, and listen, you can call it outmaneuvering, right? You can call it whatever you want to call it. But here's the whole thing. Wack 100 is the worst thing that ever happened to YouTube. It's the worst thing that ever happened to your platform. I don't know if you're paying attention or not. I'm sure you are. But whenever you bring him on the show, 95% of the comments in the chat are asking and begging you to get this nigga off your motherfucking podcast, off your live stream. He's a liar. He's been proven to be a liar. He's an unscrupulous piece of shit. And you know he's an unscrupulous piece of shit. I know you have a personal relationship with him. I know that he took up for you.
People are entertained by Wack.
They are. But at what expense, though? At what expense? People are entertained by the slave master. People are entertained by Donald Trump. But at what expense, though?
I've seen people say call Wack. Like, for example, we were gonna get an update on like this whole situation, and people were like, "Hey, well, actually, no, we just talked about some YG and Drakeo, the ruler stuff," and people say, "No, you should call Wack." So like, I feel like they tolerate him in doses.
Of course, they tolerate. That's exactly right. They tolerate him in doses. They allow you to bring him up here when they want to be entertained because they know he has the evidence on shit. They know what's going on with him. So yeah, they tolerate the nigga. It's exactly right. They tolerate him in doses. But at the same time, there's a difference between him just reporting on what he knows and then him trying to weaponize your platform and platforms like Avenue 22. That's totally different. They ain't the same thing. What he did at T Grizzly by introducing that fake, fraudulent ass paperwork, man, if T Grizzly wanted to, he could sue the shit out of Wack. He can sue the shit out of Wack because both of those people, listen, the first piece of paperwork was the fake police report. The second piece of paperwork was the paperwork that he sent you. It was a California State of Appeal with T Grizzly's name on it. All that shit was forged, bro. So how would he feel if T Grizzly was to file charges against him, press charges against him for creating fake fraudulent paperwork? Then he's going to say, it wasn't me. Baby Shooter gave me the paperwork. So then he would have to throw Baby Shooter under the bus. Because he said he got a Baby Shooter. So how would he feel if T Grizzly press charges against him, which he'll never do? But how would he feel about that? And how would he feel if T Grizzly press civil charges against him?
Well, I think Wack also operates in the realm where it's like, he talks about street niggas and street shit. If a street dude presses charges against him, like, "Hey, you're defaming me," like, is that respected? I don't know.
And listen, here's what I'm telling you. I know Wack is listening right now. And I know the whole Clubhouse people are listening to right now. Because what else do they got to fucking do but listen to Akademiks? Nothing. You're the biggest motherfucker in the land. So let me just tell you this. Wack 100 is a snake of epic proportions. He can't be trusted. Wack 100 is like Samuel L. Jackson's character on Django Unchained. He can't be trusted. And when you give him your platform and let him run wild.
No, we try to do some pushback, but I will say the thing with Wack will come with new information that you have no idea about that you really can't challenge. And after he puts it on the table and now people get to vet it for maybe like a couple of days, you could come back afterwards. Like, for example, now I could come back afterwards and be like, "Oh, okay, well, Wack, well, maybe when you said that wasn't all the way accurate." But a lot of times he definitely does come in with, he mentioned some person who's named Vet or whatever. He was like, "Hey, that's the person that's probably telling. That person's out on bond. That person was accused of da-da-da." Like,
and then listen, of course, listen. That's called the bait and switch move. Well, he's out on bond, so let's put it on him. But the only person we've heard publicly tell that specific story is you. The only person who's saying he was there was you. So let's just say if somebody else told the story, the feds would want to interview everybody involved in this situation before they even articulate it in a superseding indictment. You don't think the feds have reached out to people to interview them about whether or not that situation is true before they put it in a superseding indictment? Come on now.
Yeah, I can see that. Of course, yeah.
Come on now. So the fans is going to listen. The fans going to take some shit from YouTube or take some shit from Clubhouse and just
okay. So who do you think they reached out to that gave them probably like, okay, this is true then?
I believe that the feds have what they think is one of the best motherfucking cooperatives that they've had since J. Edgar Hoover's administration, bro. I believe, it is my opinion, and I'm going to say allegedly because that bitch ass nigga be like in a suit. I'm going to say that Wack 100 is working with the federal government. Wack 100 is the new leader of the hip hop motherfucking police, allegedly.
You really think that?
I really do. I think that, like I think your parents are from Jamaica, motherfucker. I think that for real.
So wait, is it because he doesn't get like, okay, so, all right, God forbid, but let's say they give a fourth supersede indictment and Wack is charged. Would you still think he is a cooperative? I'm asking because I think sometimes people get stuck in their own theories that nothing someone could do to prove them wrong. I'm asking you here, what would happen or what could happen that you're like, you know what?
I don't want Wack to be charged with anything. What I'm simply saying is, this is not about whether he should be charged or not. I'm just pointing that out because it is extremely odd, and it is really telling. And it really showcases what the fuck is going on here. Wack will never be charged by the feds. He's not going to be roped into this indictment, right? But he certainly has to be called as a witness. So listen, when you talk about something being an overt act, okay, cool. It's not an actual charge. It just speaks to the overall character or the MO of a person. Well, Big U's lawyers still has to address it because they're using that to establish foundations.
No, of course.
They're using that. So Big U's lawyers still have to address overt act 38.
Hey, by the way, so I'm wondering how the feds are going to even try to, because usually when they're trying to prove a conspiracy, they address these overt acts. And I'm wondering if Wack is the only person supposedly that said this. I don't think Wack is getting on the stand. And if that's not going to happen, and let's say Wack isn't right, where there is another guy who's Big U's friend that's telling the same story, how does the feds prove this? Or they're going to pull LAX records of these guys having a flight? Is Sierra going to show up? Like, obviously in the Diddy case, but that wasn't a. It wasn't a. I mean, there was overt acts related to it, but that was a predicate offense, which was arson with Kid Cudi. Kid Cudi showed up to court and he testified, but his situation was revolving around one of the predicate offenses of the RICO. So yes. I'm wondering, how do they prove this if Wack doesn't get on the stand? If he's the only one who said it.
So when something like that is said out loud, or however they're able to glean the information, you don't think they're going to reach out to the people who are involved? They have certainly reached out to Future and Sierra, because Wack articulated that Future and Sierra were basically the victims. Because if Sierra is with Future, he has a baby with him, she's in a relationship with him, she's affected and impacted by the threat of him being beat up if he don't pay $50,000. So Sierra would definitely be a material witness just like Future. So now the question is, have the feds talked to Future? There is no way the feds would have listed that as an overt act, as explicitly as they did, without talking to the person who was supposed to have been the goddamn victim. There's no way.
Do you think Future made a statement then?
I'm saying that he talked to him. I don't know what he said, but I'm saying they talked to him. There's no way they're going to list that without having some type of information to help substantiate that. If that was the case, the feds could just say, hey, Mary killed the little fucking lamb.
Yeah, I mean, you're right there. You're right there. I would imagine they reached out. I wonder how Future could get around, like either affirming or somewhat I guess it would be cooperation to a certain. That would be doing the Gucci man.
Listen, there's no way the world Future's going to acknowledge that, right? The whole thing is Future never told the story. If Future gets questioned by the feds, he's only being questioned by the feds because somebody told the story and put him in a situation where he had to be questioned. That's it. Future, even if Future denied it, if they feel like the information came from a reputable source, a solid source, like Wack, they're going to run with what they think they know, despite the fact that Future is not cooperating. Because why would Future cooperate? He doesn't want to destroy his public image. So why would he cooperate? And I'm not saying that he would, whether he did or didn't. I'm just simply saying there's no way Future is going to acknowledge that shit happened. And even if listen, Future did not say it happened. He said the opposite. He said it didn't happen. But the feds feel like the information they got was so strong that they put their overt act anyway because they trust their fucking source over future denial. That tells you how strong the source is. It tells you how strong that source is. The feds said we don't believe Future. We believe our source because our source has never been wrong. Who do you see all in gang business and gang politics in LA? Who do you see using gang members against other gang members to take motherfuckers down? Who do you see using disgruntled ex-friends of Big U to tell criminal tales of what Big U did? Extortion, like the whole thing with Meek Mills in the club. Who do you see doing that? The feds are using what they're using because their source is so on point, and they know that Future's not going to tell the truth about it, even if it did happen, because Future does not want this to impact. He don't want to be the next Gucci man by admitting that somebody tried to do something to him. So of course Future is not going to admit or acknowledge it is true. That source that they got in Big U case is a bad motherfucker. And the only people who we see who's telling stories about Big U's criminal past on platforms such as yours and No Jumper is Wack 100. Most of the people who have been trotted up on those platforms are people that have close association with Wack 100. That's not a coincidence, bro.
What do you say to the, some people believe that out of him beefing with Big U, he kind of helped jumpstart or hasten this indictment that came down on Big U. Do you believe that too?
Hey, this is what I believe. I'm going to answer your question. You know who said that? Your chat said that. That's who fucking said that. Your chat said that because we all know and believe it's true. We believe it's true. I believe that's true like I believe Jesus is black, nigga. I believe that's true, and so does the whole goddamn world. I also believe that I heard him say Stunner agreed to pay that $50,000 to Trick Trick. I believe it. Your chat believe it. And you believe it because you heard him. Wack 100 is acting like Donald Trump. He's asking us not to believe our ears and not to believe our eyes.
I mean, no. I mean, he did tell a story. He did tell a story, like to act like he didn't tell a story.
So let me ask you a question. Did he say Stunner in that when he was telling that story?
Did he say Stunner?
Yes, sir.
In one of those clips, in one of those clips, he absolutely did.
And how many times did he say Stunner's name?
He listen. One of the stories that I don't think is AI. I don't think when he was talking to me.
AI. Oh, here we go. Now it's AI.
No. I'm affirming that he did mention Stunner. Like he absolutely did.
Okay, so when he went on Clubhouse. And listen, his own Clubhouse person called him out and proved he was lying by playing the audio. So it's either we're stupid and we can't hear and we need to get our hearing checked today, or he lied. Which one is it, Akademiks? I'm calling you out on your own platform. Did he lie or did he tell the truth?
Yeah, I mean, is he denying that he didn't say Stunner?
Yes, he denied it. He said on Clubhouse that he did not say Stunner. He said that.
Yeah, he might have misremembered. He might have misremembered. No, but he did say Stunner.
Misremember? Where'd you learn that fucking word? The third grade, nigga? What you mean misremember?
I must have misremembered, because I mean, there's verifiable
I'm
proof that he did.
I'm asking you a question on your platform, my dear sir. I'm asking you, did Wack 100 lie to us? Did he lie when he said that he did not say Stunner's name? I'm asking you straightforward, man to man.
I can't say he lied. I would have to play him the audio, and if he said that's not me, I'd be like, all right, now you're lying. Okay.
Oh, I'm gonna send it to you right now. Hold on. I'm gonna send you the Clubhouse audio.
So I would ask him the question if he said I never said stunner, and he hears the audio and be like, oh, that's not real or whatever. At that point, be like, okay, you're just trying to lie. But I mean, again, he might be just trying to protect
who?
Stunner, of course.
Protect who? Listen. This whole thing, Wack has been telling this story for years, but it didn't have any legs to it. But now this whole thing is in a federal indictment.
The 100%. The feds have now ramped up these things, and I'm not gonna lie, it does look like a whole different situation now.
Yeah, so Stunner probably checked in before.
By the way, when Wack used to tell the story was kind of told in a way to say these rappers are just guys who rap. Like, nobody, because I remember the first time he told me the story, I was like, well, Future's a street nigga. And he's like, who the fuck told you that? It was like, yo, bro, when actual street niggas come around, like, Future, he's running around. Like, your Future's like Noah Lyles. You know what I mean? Like, Future's, he's doing a Rey Mysterio on the carousel at baggage claim. Like, so I was like, oh, shit. Because
hey, listen, nobody's saying Future is a gangster, bro. Future is a rapper. Nobody's saying
I used to think he was. I ain't gonna lie. I used to think he was. Like, his rapping is so good. I used to really think that, like, Future, like, I'm not saying he's some killer. I'm just like, yo, he's a guy who you can't fuck with. You know what I mean? And when Wack told the story, I was inclined to believe that story was false, because I'm like, it kind of describes Future as someone who was prey by the street dudes or the gang culture of LA. And
listen,
that was shocking to me.
Hey, this is a fact. LA, Los Angeles, California has been squeezing rappers forever, bro. The motherfuckers come to LA for them award ceremonies and be getting their ass handed to them. Them goddamn gangbangers was getting motherfuckers together. That is absolutely true. They prey on these weak-ass, coward-ass rappers. That's true. That's true. You've been in the entertainment business at the highest level of it, bro. You didn't just come around. You've been investigating these things for years. You know these rappers but by and large, not all, but most of them are not what they rap about, and you know that. You know they've been coming to LA, being forced to join gangs, being forced to check in. Or if they didn't check in, they didn't acquiesce to the pressure. It was getting their ass stumped out. You know that.
Yeah.
And I want to make sure that I'm clear here. What I'm saying is that I believe, based on what I've heard, based on all the information that I've seen, I believe that Wack 100 is playing an integral role in getting Big U knocked down. And I think that he's trying to do everything in his power to make sure that the charges stick. That's what I believe. That's what I believe. And I'm going to send you the Clubhouse video where his own Clubhouse person called him out. They called him out when he said, "I never said Stunner's name." He said, "Yes, you did." Then he played the audio. When the guy played the audio, and Wack said Stunner's name 4 times, Wack told him, "Oh, you acting like the police. You acting like the police. Ain't that about a bitch? How you gonna ever accuse a motherfucker of acting like the police when you're the king of acting like the police around this bitch?"
Wait, Wack told the dude that he was acting like the police?
Yes, when he played the audio and proved that Wack was lying, that he did say Stunner, then he switched up. He said, well, but Stunner ain't the one who paid me. That's not the question. The question is, did you say Stunner? He said, so then he switched it up. Well, he ain't the one who sent me the money. I know who sent me the money, and it wasn't Stunner. But that was not the point. That's not the question. You said that you never said Stunner's name. He played the audio back, and he proved that you did say Stunner's name. And then Wack went on to say, well, but Stunner ain't the one who paid me. He ain't the one who paid me, though. I know where the money came from, and it went for Stunner. alluding to Stunner not paying him. It was somebody probably in association with Stunner who sent the money to somebody somehow, some way. But here's the whole thing. You're saying that you did something for Trick. You're putting Trick in a Trick bag. You're bringing Trick.
Has Trick said anything about this?
Trick would never, ever.
No.
Never. Have no history of doing no shit like that. What the fuck would he ever do something like that? I call it a different area code. No, he never said it. Nobody's saying Wack is lying. The only person saying it did happen, go ask this person. Go ask that person. Hey, listen. The people who have spoke on this, they said Future said Wack was lying. Big U said Wack was lying. Everybody else has been mums. So listen, Wack has been telling this story with intensity, trying to convince us. And he even said, if you don't believe me, go ask this person. Or don't make me call this person. Don't make me call that person to verify that this happened. He's trying to force the public. He's trying to prove his point beyond a shadow of a doubt. Who does that? Why are you so hard up to prove that this shit did happen? Well, he did the same thing Loose Cannon did. Loose Cannon got himself in that indictment because his stupid ass was telling shit that he did, or is telling things that he was involved in. Wack 100 did the same thing Loose Cannon did by telling this story about what happened at the airport. So why is Wack not charged with Big U?
We'll find this out, man. Dawgface, you make a compelling argument. Send me that audio when Wack is back on the show. I will ask him about it. I will confront him with the audio. He doesn't duck really any type of things from what I've seen. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure he'll give me some type of answer. I expect him to. And after that, we could go from there. But yeah, no.
Don't go nowhere. Don't go. I'm gonna send it to you right motherfucking now.
All right, good.
I'm gonna send it to you right now. Hold on. You ain't gotta go nowhere. I want to make sure you get this shit.
Let's see.
Hold on. He probably had him take it down with this slick ass, but I got it though. Give me a couple of minutes. Give me a couple of minutes. I'm gonna send it to you. Give me a couple of minutes.
All right, just send to my number. All right.
All right, I got you, bro. Thank you.
All right, peace.
Yeah, bro. Yeah.